Welcome to the ultimate super coach and fantasy sports show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yes, you are. Welcome back to the Chasedown on the Inside NBA show, your Thursday NBA fantasy show, bringing you all things fantasy hoops. Matty G, he's off tonight. He's taking a holiday with the family. Good luck to him. They brought in the G League boys, repping for the evening. I'm the SC Brain, and I'm joined by none other than the two of the finest NBA fantasy heads in the land. We've got the big horse, Mickey Dell. How are you, mate? You well?
Hello, mate. Going well. I'm fucking stoked to be given the call up from the G League up to the ones, mate. Let's get it on.
That's it. And we've got Herbie, the Herbie Bull, over here as well, mate. Sacramento's biggest fan. How are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm good. It's good to be called up to this prestigious spot that I'm in. It's silly season, so I don't know about my blood alcohol level, what's that doing, but yeah, let's get this started.
Yeah, love it. As always, guys, we're brought to you here today by Standard Squeeze, Ryan from Astute Newstead, and Bonus Bank. We'll give them a shout out through the show. Now, boys, we're going to talk through, obviously, the day of NBA, and we had a 10-game slate today, so a fair bit to talk about in terms of what went well, what didn't go well. Before we dive into the games, it's the first time we've got together as a group of three to chat hoops, and I just wanted to kind of ask how your season's been going, fantasy-wise. How are you going? I know you're in a few leagues. Mick, how are you running?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm in 3 leagues. 4. One through Fantrax where I'm sitting mid-table, and then I'm in 2 ESPN leagues where I'm sitting mid-table for one and second in another, and then running one on Yahoo where I think it's you and I that are joint top at the moment.
Glad you mentioned that. I'll slip you a 50 a bit later on. Herbie, how are you going this year, mate? How's the fantasy season treating you?
Yeah, it's actually going good. I'm feeling good. I'm on a bit of a streak with the Book of Irving and yeah, Ian's team, which is good. So the team's kind of settled in pretty well. It's pretty well balanced, my team. So I'm actually feeling not too bad about the season. So yeah, things are going good. How about you, Brains? How's Mo Money, Mo Bumba?
Mo Money, Mo Bumba. It's doing all right. It's, you mentioned the Book of Irving. I think that's the 20-team league that we're in together, that we're all in. Fuck, that's a tough league as well, by the way. 20-team leagues, you go to waivers and you see like Corey Kispert as the best option on your waivers. It's pretty dire. I think I'm coming first, outright first in Ball League, in the 20-man league. I think I'm coming equal first with Mick in G's little family and friends league we've got going on Yahoo. I'm having an absolute stinker in the Insight League, which is fantastic, isn't it? But I'm having a shocker there. I actually like my team, but it's just not going well. And I think I'm coming relatively around the top. I think top 4 in the Molten League that we have between the boys. So we're doing okay. It's the Zion King is my other team name for this year. I thought I'd kind of change things up a little bit, And I've got a little image of Zion, and you got the image of the Lion King where Zion's been holding out in front and it's got LeBron's head. So I like that. That's good fun. Anyway, enough about our teams. We've enjoyed ourselves, but let's do a little bit of a rewind on the day's play and talk through that. Now, boys, the 76ers beat the Wolves 127-113. What do we take from this one, Mick? What are your thoughts on this one?
There's a couple of takeaways from this. McDaniels with 21 points, which is the most points he's scored all season. Relatively efficient as well, but for me, he's still not considered a streamable option given that his stocks, his blocks and his steals are down so far this year. But if I told you, boys, that Embiid and Maxey together, out of the 127 76er points, they had 86 points, 13 boards, and 8 assists between them, what would you say? Like that's only 41 points to everyone else.
Someone else needs to do something?
Not really. They blew them out by 14 points. Today was like a bit of a test, I reckon, for Philly coming up against Minnesota, who have been red hot. And like, I don't know about you boys, how you boys feel about Philly this season, but I reckon they've taken it to the next level. And Embiid's just going absolutely mental. Like every time he gets the ball, I'm just like, what is going to happen here? And then Maxey has just stepped it up as well. So it's been pretty good. Like they actually, maybe in the playoffs they got a bit of exposed, but it is hurting us fantasy people. Just such the load on these two boys, because everybody else, there was nobody else in double digits for them, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Just before we go on, Brano, 49 shots between Embiid and Maxey in this one. 29 from 49 from the field together.
And look, it's fine to carry that much load when it's Embiid. We knew that this was going to happen at the start of the season. We knew he was going to take on a massive load as soon as Harden got traded, right? But Maxey stepped up. He's obviously his shot volume's through the roof. Kelly Oubre, since he come back from his, let's call it an injury, he's kind of like faded into the abyss, hasn't he? He's kind of become quite irrelevant, which is a shame. Tobias Harris pretty quiet in this one, but D'Anthony Melton's probably the other talking point here. It looked like he has a corked quad, I think it was, or a thigh contusion, I think they called it. 16 minutes in this one, so he didn't even finish out the half.
No, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, no stocks at all. Was he relevant for you? I guess I know, Brano, you've got him in a league. How do you feel about him? And now that he's injured, what are you going to do with him?
Well, I've got him in a 20-man league, so it's 200 deep. So I'll just hold him, I think, for now. I think a bruised thigh isn't really anything to panic about too much. I think we could even see him as early as next game for them. So I'm not too worried. I think maybe Pat Beverley, someone like him, will benefit in the short term, but I wouldn't be trying to stream Pat Beverley. I think there's some better options out there.
100%.
Anything else with this one, or we move on?
Let's move on.
Beauty. Miami beat Orlando 115-106 as well. Orlando have been playing some pretty good ball lately. Just knocked off here by Miami. Herbie, what did you take from this one?
Bit of a weird game, I think. You had a couple of the boys who've just come back. So Tyler Hero's just come back, and he's got obviously a massive load since Jimmy's out. So 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists on 10 of 17 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3, which is really, really good. And then obviously you got Bam Adebayo as well, so 18 and 7. So he's looking like he's settled in, and like everything kind of running through those two boys. And then from the other side, pretty disappointing all round from Orlando. So I mean, Paolo nearly had a triple double, but he was 2 of 12 from the field. France only had 15 and 6, but 0 of 4 from 3. So my boy Cole Anthony, who I got on at $81 for 6th man of the year, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Keep doing your thing, my boy, and make me some money. So
you could be a rich man,
isn't he? Yeah,
that's the biggest takeaway for me. I think they need to win, but Cole Anthony, get me some.
Fill your sports bet account.
I like that you've brought up the Cole Anthony thing there, Herbie. I think he's very streamable, given that they've got Anthony Black starting, who's done next to fuck all year when we're talking fantasy-wise. Markelle Fultz is not healthy, and with the way that they're progressing with his injury and status, I don't think we'll see him for quite some time, given that he's had issues with knees before in the past. And it seems like he's been around for a long time, but he's still only 25 years of age. So they're going to want to get that right if they've invested that 4 year contract into him. So I think Cole Anthony is very worthwhile, not just a stream, but someone that you can keep full time in your league.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a new role in the NBA that's kind of like come back, that Lou Will role. Jamal Crawford as well, who just played like 6 man and just like killer, like instant offense whenever he came on. So a little bit like Malik Monk for the Kings. Like if they play starter minutes, they usually close the game, but they start off and they're kind of knowing their role. So I think Cole Anthony was kind of figuring his way out for a few years. Same as Malik Monk as well. And they've just kind of been given this 6 man role where they're just pretty much instant offense and everything runs through them in the second unit. And then they can fill a hole too in the starting lineup. So, he's one that's his game has just really progressed really well with them, obviously, improving as a team as well.
Yeah,
for sure. He's only 33% rostered in ESPN leagues as well. So definitely a pick up there for Cole Anthony if he's available in your league.
Mm-hmm.
Wendell Carter Jr. back. in this
He
one
was.
as well. I managed to nab him off waivers in one league, I think it was, which was handy. But how does that affect Goga Batardze probably mainly? Is he a drop now?
Not yet. So if we look at today's stats, Wendell Carter Jr. only played, I think it was 23 minutes. Wagner played 18 and Goga 12. But if you can see, for those of you that have had a look at the stats, the splits between them, almost identical rebounds. Goga a bit more effective on the defensive end with 2 blocks. I think they can both offer something there. I think the issue is now for Orlando is that they've got 3 centers that can play the center position and play it quite well. So who's going to miss out? I'd say Goga eventually, once Wendell gets his legs underneath him. Does that then mean that he's a trade piece and they could potentially get something back for him? Time will tell.
Yep. Yeah, good shout. Plenty of moving pieces there. We'll see what happens. Next one, Pacers win pretty easily, 144. They just keep racking up points, these boys, the Pacers. They're, best attacking team in the league at the moment. So 144, they knock off the Hornets, 113 without LaMelo Ball. Again, Halliburton, again, good facilitating, getting his team involved in this one. What do you think here, Mick?
Oh, I love him. Really, really rate this player. For me, he's up there with SGA. He's up there with your boy Herbie, De'Aaron Fox, as in the elite section for point guards in our competition. So 19 points, 13 assists in 27 minutes. Just light work, baby, light work. It was a bounce-back game for Buddy today. He's been a bit off with his shot, but 25 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. Man gets up there and swats that shit out of here. Bench in this game saw a lot of time in this game, so hard to sort of read into who's going to get effective minutes for Indiana, but good to see Jalen Smith back, and he was perfect from the field, 4 for 4 and 2 from 2 from 3 in his 8 minutes.
They shared the load a little bit, didn't they, in this one? Toby, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yes, I actually watched this full game. Gamble responsibly. So that's what I was doing today while working from home. Look, everybody thinks as a Kings fan, right, that I'm lighting the beam and like I'm upset. This whole group chat with you boys, right? You're just always like, oh, Hallie this, Hallie that. You always give me all this crap. At the end of the day, man, like Hallie is Hallie. He's going to do all these great things with Indy. That's great. We still got Sabonis. Like Fox is doing his thing. Like it's just a perfect trade that worked out really well for everybody. But I will say that like it is pretty exciting. Looking at Indiana and looking at that team, it's just like kind of built around him. So like pick and roll action with Miles Turner, and he can pick and pop or he can go to the rim. And he's really freed up now that Sabonis is gone. And then Buddy's just always been, I think he was like a candidate for that 6-man type person off the bench, but he just doesn't have the handle. So he actually needs an elite point guard, which, obviously Hallie is. So spot up shooter who can just become really hot every now and then. And then you look at their bench, man. Their bench is fucking awesome. Like you got TJ McConnell, like 9, what do you have? 9 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 of 3 in 20 minutes. Like Mathurin, he's pretty nice too, 14 points. And then Naismith, 6 of 6. Like they just got like a really nice, like well-rounded team of young kids that are working out really well. So props to Indy. Like good on them. They're never gonna beat the Kings in a final series or anything. But they'll do all right until they meet us in the actual finals because they're in a different conference. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, good. I'm glad we jumped ahead. We'll talk about the Kings a little bit later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I guess my question from this, we saw very heavily Brendan Miller. He's involved now while LaMelo Ball's out. We've got Terry Rozier, obviously 25, 9 and 7 today.
Wow.
10 from 26 though, probably hurts your field goal percentage. 2 from 10 from 3, so not ideal for him if you're you're relying on those percentages. But he's been pretty heavily involved. Do we know much about LaMelo Ball? When's he back? Have we got much news?
Yeah, I think he's still a couple of weeks away, but right now for you Terry Rozier owners is the perfect time to sell high. He's ranked 52 overall. You could get some quality back in return before LaMelo gets back. So he's pumped out some good games over the past couple of weeks. Cash in now if you've got the opportunity to. I think you could get a really good player in return. But in regards to Miller, this man is a serious baller. He's going to be really good for the Hornets franchise moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at like what they did today, Gordon Hayward only had 24 minutes, and then they really kind of relied on Miller, like Bridges, Terry Rozier to have those like high volume of minutes. So, just like one to watch is that they're just like heavily invested in Miller, and they're just going to give him as many minutes as they can. So yeah, bet the Miller overs and bet the Hayward unders. That's
it's not a bad shout. And I don't mind taking the PJ Washington overs as well while Mark Williams is out, because it seems like they're playing small ball with PJ Washington at the 5 a fair bit. So, even though he only had 4 rebounds today, he played 26.5 minutes. Efficiency wasn't great, but he's getting the minutes, so I'm sure the numbers will be there for him eventually. Let's move on to the undermanned Cavs beating the Jazz 124-116. No Donovan Mitchell in this one.
Nope.
Bit of a laid out, wasn't it?
It was only 15, 20 minutes before tip-off that the news came out that he was missing. So it was some of the backup guards, I guess, for Cleveland in Caris LeVert and Seb Morrell that led the way for them. Morrell was, 8 for 14 from 3 today. So if you're looking for a 3 streamer, don't pick him up, because today was just one out of the box. He's not going to play that role consistently for them. LeVert went 23, 3 and 7. That was nice. Craig Porter Jr. got the start. We all know that he was hot early on when Garland was out, and he was getting some starts alongside Mitchell. And even when Mitchell was out, 6.7 boards, 6 assists with 3 blocks. Not a bad game, but he's not filling you right up with stats. So you could do a lot worse, but he's still not there for me when you're streaming in a 12-team league.
Yeah, Craig Porter Jr. with the Draymond Green triple single there, looking real good. But hey, if you're there for rebounds or you need some assists, or even he had 3 blocks today, you can't discount 3 blocks. It's pretty valuable. So well done to him. Anything else in this one? What's happening with John Collins? Because he started the season red hot, didn't he? And he's just disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm assuming injury riddled, but he's off the bench now. 16 points, 5 rebounds, a steal and a block. Decent efficiency, but the minutes really aren't there for him.
Man, they got a weird team.
What do you reckon?
Like, don't you think their team is just strange? Like, if you just look at it on paper, you have like Colin Sexton getting all these minutes, who obviously is just like, I don't think he could ever play meaningful minutes for a winning basketball team. Taylor Horton Tucker is the same. No faith in that dude. And then just like they're just team is just strange. Like you got Larry, you got Fontichicho or whatever his name is, Walker Kessler.
Fontecchio.
If you put all these, and then John Collins or Linux, like if you put all these people on the same floor, like it's the strangest basketball team I've ever seen. And it's obviously just looking like it because their chemistry is all fucked up. So
yeah,
it's a weird team, man. I don't know. And like obviously John Collins is kind of the same as like Olynyk, Markkanen, Fontecchio. So yeah, it's just probably not a great fit, to be honest. Yeah. I think
and they're missing Jordan Clarkson pretty heavily in this one, aren't they? And even Keontae George, who was starting to get a start. So yeah, Taylor Horton Tucker, maybe he was a stream for the last 2-3 games, but I don't know whether that lasts too much longer. I picked him up in one league today, so that worked out pretty well, but I'm planning on moving him on pretty quickly because I don't think that lasts too long. And also efficiency's unusually good in this game at 46% from the field, and he only took 1 3-point attempt, but he was good from the free throw line as well, 88%. So quite rare.
Just a yes or no out of you boys, or without the yes or no, give me a comment. Out of Kessler, Collins, Markkanen, Kelly Olynyk, do one of them get moved on before the trade deadline? And if so, who is it?
Markkanen has to be. His trade value is pretty high.
I've heard there's rumors that the Atlanta Hawks are going after Markkanen as well. Being a Hawks fan, I've paid quite close attention to that, and there's been rumor that we're going to go pretty hard at Markkanen before the deadline. So, yeah, you're right. I agree with Herby. I think he's probably the one that needs to go. He's the one with the value, isn't he? I don't really know whether there's anybody else with value on that team that people are going to be jumping at. So I think he needs to go.
Okay.
All right. Denver beat Toronto in Toronto as well. So they did the road trip and they knocked them off 113-104. Pretty good knock. Nikola Jokic doing Jokic things. A rare 2 blocks from him, though, in this one. So you'd be pretty happy with that as a Jokic owner. That's not what you're paying for. Herby, what are your thoughts?
He's God when it comes to fantasy basketball, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
One
Of our good mates on this podcast, Matthew O'Brien, has Nikola Jokic in like 17 leagues, and he's still got like a record of like 2-51 on the season. So shout out to Matrix. You're doing well, mate. Stick to your lane. Stick to the NBL, son. Anyway, so big Joker, man. Yeah, he's just a beast. What can you say? Like, he's just number 1 pick every year. Probably the only one.
Also,
like,
there's corruption involved with Mattrix's draft picks every single year as well. The bloke's got the first draft pick in like 4 of the leagues that he plays in this year. So someone needs to investigate.
And if it's not Matrix, it's G. They always seem to get the first pick, don't they?
Maybe it's like lead insight NBA fantasy analyst kind of corruption.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
What else happened in this one? Jokic aside, still some stuff to talk about here.
I'll tell you something about this game. So there's one guy who from the Toronto Raptors, and I traded him away to another man on this podcast for a Mr. Devin Vassell. And this boy, Scotty Barnes, is in my nightmares every single night. I only did it because I like you, Mick, and I should have never done it. It's just like it hurts my soul every time I see stat sheet. Because look at him today, 13 and 22. 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 30 points. Like, he's one of those players who can score in volume. He can assist, but he gets rebounds as well. So he's just like the fucking whole package, isn't he? He's like a Canadian Joker. You know what I mean? It's just weird. I don't know what he is, man. He's just
you know really what? You're right, but who could forecast this coming at the start of the season though? Like, to go from someone that had no outside shot, and if you go back and look at prior footage of him from even last year, they almost were playing defense on him the same way they played on Ben Simmons. The direct defender on Barnes was sitting in the paint. So for him to go from that to now shooting as efficiently as what he is and doing the things he's doing up there, like, it's a credit to him for working on his game and actually developing a shot. But fucking hell, the marked improvement from last year to this year, it's phenomenal.
I mean, he shot 1 from 5 today from 3, so I think that the game plan in terms of that is still working to a certain extent. But even then, he's found a mid-range now. Like, he's much more craftier around the rim. He is attacking the rim a lot more. He's getting to the line a lot more. So, and he's currently 16th overall, 16th ranked fantasy asset this year, which we talked about it, I think, maybe a month ago, and we spoke about, sorry, Herbie, I'm rubbing this in. We spoke a lot about the stocks, the steals and the blocks not being maintainable long term. The guy was averaging 2.1 blocks a game, I think, after a month. So he's never going to keep up with that. But I think he's gone from like maybe the 9th best player to the 16th best player, and I think you'd still take that every day of the week. So he's been quality. Yeah,
I do want to bring something up there. I watched this game today, and he had his last shot in the third quarter with 6:36 left in that quarter, and his next shot didn't come until the last 3 minutes of the last quarter. So, like, for me, your best player on your team not getting the ball in his hands, not allowing him to work, like, that's a big fuck up on Toronto's behalf, I believe.
It happens, though.
And they only played 9 players in their rotation this game as well against the Nuggets. So the shots were shared around a fair bit. He still took 22, which is a game high, aside from Jokic and Murray.
Yeah. One other thing I want to bring up with you boys too, Anunoby in 40 minutes, 9 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, no steals, no blocks. Has he severely hurt his trade value?
Yep.
Well, he's a free agent, isn't he? In a year or something? I was listening to a podcast.
I think he's got 1 more year left, yeah.
Yep. His trade value is apparently really high because he can defend and he's a wing. And his production has actually been pretty good. So, yeah, it's one of those things to watch. Like, they have a lot of that type of player. So I think if they can cash in on him, I heard a trade rumor of like him for RJ Barrett. How would that look? And I actually don't mind it for both teams. So, yeah, watch this space, see how we go.
Toronto are never taking that trade, by the way.
No.
Not a chance in the world. I don't think that happens. Maybe another very quick talking point. Pascal Siakam seems to have, in comparison to last year, just fallen off the face of the earth. Yeah. So concern for him. I know he was in the early talk of trades. Toronto potentially looking to move him on for the right package. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do with Siakam and Anunoby over the next, couple of weeks or however long it be before the trade deadline. So keep an eye on that.
Sure.
I think they maybe could both be moved in a package for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, we've got our friend Cam Young's Knicks. They win the Battle of New York, 121-102 against the Brooklyn Nets. And Dante DiVincenzo turned up this game. What did you think about this one, Herbie?
Just having a look at it
Not
now.
much by the sounds of things.
Well, boy, Dante, man, I think I'm the only person in the whole entire world who has a Dante DiVincenzo Sacramento Kings jersey. I think I'm literally the only person in the whole wide world. Surely
He was there for about 6 weeks.
If there's one other person, you got to DM us, and I will give you something because there's it's not possible.
I'll give you my Kings jersey of Dante DiVincenzo. That's how valuable it is.
I will give you this Duke Marvin Bagley jersey. That's what I'll do. I'll give you that in XXXL. So, man, yeah, like I've always been pretty high on him, but like he's just pretty inconsistent. So to see him, he's got crazy athleticism. To see him, in only 23 minutes have 8 rebounds, 23 points, 5 of 10 from 3 is really, really nice. And then kind of like they've been looking for that person. So like they've been looking for someone just to be on the perimeter, just to knock down shots. Like they had it with Quentin Grimes last year a little bit. Josh Hart's pretty inconsistent with his shooting. So yeah, I think they're really searching for that. And if he can do it on a consistent basis, then yeah, it's just his. They've got Randall, who breaks down the defense every time he goes in. He never wants to fucking pass. And then you got Jalen Brunson, who never wants to fucking pass as well. So I actually want to watch this game and see how the fuck DiVincenzo came up with these points, man. Good on you. Good on you to get 23 points with those 2 bull hogs. In your team.
Yep. And the assist came from Brunson as well, which is interesting. So maybe he did pass the ball this game. Who knows? Anything from you, Mick, on this one?
No, not much. But what do we do with Mikal Bridges? He was 4 for 21 from the field. He's been really down this year. 15 points on 4 of 21, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists. Clacko with 4 blocks. Our boy G Wiz loves a bit of Clacko in his life. And Cam Thomas actually passed the ball in this one, believe it or not, ending up with 5 assists. Darren Sharp, or however you say his first name, with 15 boards. That's nice off the bench. But Bridges, he's burnt his value. Where do you see him? Would you trade or try and buy low on him, Herbie, or what are you doing with him?
Well, I don't think he's a star. I think like he was, obviously on that Brooklyn team, he's kind of been that person who they've just chucked the ball to, and he's got buckets and he's been really, really nice. But probably the honeymoon period's probably a little bit over with that in terms of, you're the main man on the team. You get the bucket, you be the guy, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of maybe reverting back to like where he used to be. The problem is they just don't have anybody else really. So I still think he's good value just because he's going to get a lot of volume of shots. Like even today, I think I always look at the amount of shots people take. And it's always a good indicator if they're good value. So 21 shots, man, like he only made 4 of 21, 1 of 8 from 3. But if he's taking 21 shots a game, like he's going to put up a big stat line, every second or third game. So he's just value in that way. Until they get somebody or until he gets traded, then you can kind of reassess.
And he's usually relatively efficient as well, Mikal Bridges. I don't see him having too many of these games. He's still got 2 steals. But yeah, you're right. The 21 shots is a game high, I think. Or yeah, it's a game high. We also called this in the preseason. With Mikal Bridges having more responsibility with the ball in his hand, we knew that the efficiency was going to drop. He's not in Phoenix anymore where he can just rely on being that kind of 3-and-D corner 3 guy. He actually has to get his fill on this team. So I'd say we probably expected it, but it's going to be peaks and troughs, I think, with Mikal Bridges' efficiency. but I think you can probably rely on getting those counting stats more often than not with him.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Hawks and the Rockets, mate. Now, I would love to see a Hawks game where they don't concede 125 fucking points to try and win. 127, 134 in this one. They still get the win. It's just the pace that they play at, but their defense has been fucking awful. So I'd prefer not to talk about it because I'm a little bit biased. What are your thoughts on this one, Mick? How did you see this one? Because there's a bit of fantasy relevance in this game.
Heaps of fantasy relevance, but when you're talking about a Hawks game, it's basically whoever misses the least wins. That's it. They just go from end to end. They play a high octane game of basketball. Trey Young with 30 and 14 was good. Onyeka, 19 and 11, did okay. Bogdanovic, 22, 4 and 5 was good also. Jabari Smith Jr. with his best game or best career game to date with 34 points, 13 boards and 4 blocks, and was also 14 or 14 from the line. Freddie Van Vliet with 32 and 15 also. He's bounced back really well after a slow start to the year. But when we're talking about fantasy relevance, we can talk about Trey, Onyeka, Bogdanovic, Jabari Smith, Fred in this game. Outside of Şengün, the one I'm most looking forward to seeing back on the court soon is Jalen Johnson, Braino. He will make it's amazing how one person can make such a difference defensively to your team.
Yeah, big time. I actually, funnily, you just mentioned that. I stashed him today in our 20-man ball league. I saw him on waivers, and I just saw that he became a full participant in training. So I thought, he's not far off. He'll probably be back end of December, maybe early January. So I think he's probably a good stash. If he's on your waivers right now, I reckon you can go and, depending on whether you're up the top of the comp or not, if you can afford a loss or two, I reckon Jalen Johnson's a great grab right now because he'll be back within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say. But yeah, he does make a massive difference to the Hawks for sure. What are your thoughts, Herby, on this one?
Man, I haven't watched any of these teams the whole season, on all honesty. The one thing I actually want to do is I want to shout out Bogey Bogdanovic, who's just playing really good basketball ever since the FIBA World Cup, where he was just killing it.
Ex-Sacramento boy.
He's kind of found his, ex-Sacramento boy. He looks really, really nice coming off the bench, and his playmaking is really, really nice too. So he's the wish Luka Doncic. That's what I used to always call him. So, but he's doing really well, man. And I'm more interested. I will say one thing before I ask this question to you, Brandon. One thing I really want to do during this Christmas and festive period is I want to sit down with like 16 of these, and I just want to watch the Houston Rockets play. I just think it will just be fun just to get blind and just watch Houston play a game of basketball with all their weird players on that team. That's what I want to do. That's my goal for 2023.
I'd love to finish the year doing that. We'll have to hop on like a Zoom call or something, or just do a live episode and just sit down and just watch the Rockets. And I tell you what I'd love even more. I would love to do like a player lock. Like sometimes in the footy where they just follow the one player around on the camera. I would love to just watch Dylan Brooks for 48 minutes. Even when he's on the bench, I'd love to see what he's doing on the bench. Just sitting there, just, what he's talking about, put the mic on the bloke. I'd love to watch him in the warm-up when he just stares at nothing for 15 minutes. Everything about Dylan Brooks is just bizarro land. So I'd really enjoy that. I reckon 16 beers and Dylan Brooks' camera would be my thing.
Could happen. It could happen. I'm actually really curious what you think about what's going to happen with the Hawks. They're 12 and 15, right? They don't play any defense. They got Trey Young, and they got DeJounte. Like, how is it working? Like, how do you see this panning out? Because, I don't know. It's not really like you're in kind of no man's land, right? You're just kind of doing nothing. You're just like in the middle of the thing. Like, you're not doing much. Are you're one move away. You probably need to it's like that Hallie Fox thing. Like, I reckon you just need to try trade one for, a wing or a big or something, but you need to shake things up, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Something needs to change there. Capella played 21 minutes today and Okongwu played 32. So maybe they're starting to lean towards Okongwu a little bit. He played the 4 a little bit as well, and Bay came off the bench there for a while. So they've been playing around with rotations a little bit, the Hawks, but I won't harp on too much about them, but I do agree that something needs to change. I think potentially DeAndre Hunter's a bit of a trade piece now. He's been scoring points. He's been doing okay. His value's there. Do we move Hunter and Capella along for a Markkanen? Someone of that caliber. I know we were chasing Pascal Siakam as well. So that those two guys, like that's a kind of player that you need, I think, at the Hawks to actually change things. Because at the moment, if you're letting 127 points into the Rockets, you're not going to win a comp. You're not even close to winning a comp.
That's 160 points against the Celtics.
Yeah. So something needs to change there. I agree. Bulls upset the Lakers 124-108. No one really saw this one coming. DeMar DeRozan with a pretty good game. DeSunmu pretty good as well. But dare I say, LeBron James with a 25, 10, and 9. He was really good.
Yeah, he was, but didn't really have much help in this one. Anthony Davis going 19 and 14, a couple of blocks and a steal as well. But D'Angelo Russell, big talking point at the moment. I watched a little bit of this game, and it looks like he's almost checked out of playing with the Lakers at the moment. So don't be surprised if you see a move here soon. 2 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists in 29 minutes. For me, he's a really nice buy low target at the moment, given that no one's expecting anything out of him. Herbie, what do you think?
I was so high on D'Angelo Russell coming into the season, just because I thought he's like that kind of third fiddle, and he's a really good shooter, man. Like he's really good. I think he's had like a 50-point game, hasn't he? Yeah. Someone do a stat check on that, but he's had a really couple of really big games in the league. So, but yeah, it's like what you said. I don't think he really looks like he's that settled in LA. And then you've just got the other guy who's knocking on the door, Austin Reeves, who's just kind of killing it. He's found his role. He's really, really doing well with the Lakers. But they were talking about Russell and his contract because I think it's $17 million or something a year. And they were talking about how that's going to be like a trade value contract. So watch this space in terms of that. Let's see what happens. But obviously something needs to change because fucking 2 points in 28 minutes.
Fact check for you, brother. You are right. 52 points for the Warriors on the 9th of November 2019. He also snagged 9 rebounds and 5 assists.
And he had a Tony Snell jersey on today, funnily enough.
He did. Mr. Cardio himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on him. Hey, sometimes you got to get your beep test done through the middle of the season for conditioning, so he just thought I'll do it mid-game. Why not?
Yeah.
Not really much else to talk about in this one. We can move on to the Clippers and the Mavs. Kawhi. Again, we talked about a lot at the start of the season, even through the preseason. Kawhi was a hesitant kind of draft in the second round because everyone was thinking, fuck, he's going to get injured again. You know, he hasn't been healthy for a while. He has played, I think, every back-to-back this season so far. So healthy is great. Healthy Kawhi is a great Kawhi for the league.
Yep. After missing the first 27 games last season, he played, it was like 55 or 54 of the last 57 games or whatever it was. Like he'd only missed 3 games from when he came back from that knee injury. And now this year, has he even missed a game yet? So there's a model of consistency there for him, and he's playing really well as well. He looks up and about and looks as fit as what he has been for the last 2 or 3 years. Man is the only player for the Clips who didn't score in double figures in this one, and they went with an 8-man rotation without PG. Harden, 17 points and 11 assists, but was 4 from 12 from the field. Perfect. Oh, well, sorry, he missed 1 from the line. But, yeah, apart from Doncic, Herbie, anyone from the Mavs stand out to you?
Oh, man, it's got to be our Aussie boy, Dante. He's doing real well. And, I think, I don't know if you guys can look it up, but what he's streamed at, that would be interesting. And then, obviously Luka, 1 rebound off another triple-double. But, like, just watch his points. Like, I looked at his points as a betting man, right? And, like, they've got it at, like, 38.5, right? So it's like they just think, and then you look at his scores, like 40 points, 35, so-and-so. But, like, he does have a bit of help in terms of like getting out. Tim Hardaway has been really, really hot this season. Hardy's been really, really good. They both had really nice games today. So 21 points and 15 points from Hardy as well. But Exum, 40 minutes, like 40 minutes for a dude who like was talked about to be in the NBL, you know, like literally like 6 or 7 months ago, they were saying, oh, he's going to come and join, you know, the team that he owns in the Phoenix. So it's really, really nice that he's, found his niche in Dallas, and it looks like he's there to stay, which is good. What do you boys think about our boy Dante?
That fact check for you, he's rostered in 39% of leagues in Yahoo. And over his last 7 games, he's averaging 17.7 points, 4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 2.1 triples, and shooting 67% from the floor.
He's got a
Very
nice
efficient.
game. He's got a really nice game. And if you can fit your game in with Luka, like, you can do anything, essentially. So he's found his niche, and he's one thing that he's doing, which he didn't kind of do today, but he's hitting the 3-ball pretty well. I don't know the stats, but yeah, it looks like he's been, kind of hitting that ball, which he hasn't done in the past. Like, when he first came into the league, he had raps that he was like a Kobe light, right? So they were talking about him like Kobe Bryant, and he went like 4th or 5th overall. Just because he's got that really, really nice, well-rounded game, and really, really offensively powered. But one thing that he couldn't do, he could never shoot. So now he can shoot. You need to shoot when you're with Luka. And yeah, he's found his niche, which is really, really good for him.
Love that.
I miss what you said, Brano. What was that?
I was just saying, Herbie was saying that Dante Exum's managed to fit in with Luka, and I said Porzingis couldn't. And it's true. Like, fitting in with Luka into this lineup, Luka's such a kind of ball-dominant guard. Like, he does everything. So, managing to fit in with his game, he just knows his role. So full credit to Exum for fitting in there. I must say, I was watching this game live, and Luka brought up his triple-double with a missed putback on a missed shot. And then they've taken a rebound off him, and I have him in a triple-double league. So I feel pretty annoyed about that, thinking that I had a triple-double that was going to win me a week, and now I don't. So yeah, thanks ESPN, or thanks NBA stat people.
I want to say this: you got him in that league, right? And I think you got him at a pretty good draft pick. What was it again?
No, I got him at 2.
You got him at 2, really?
Yep. Yeah, I took him over Embiid.
I thought that he was dropping, man. Like, I don't know. It was him and Giannis that were really dropping, and I have no idea why.
Giannis dropped to 9 in that.
Yeah,
league.
Giannis dropped a lot, and I just don't know why. Like, they're still
I agree with that.
In all honesty.
Yep. Look, the first 7, wasn't it, in the draft, in your fantasy drafts, are pretty solid. Steph Curry often went at 7 more often than not. You had Hallie, you had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then the obvious ones, Doncic, Embiid, Jokic. So I think you knew what you were going to get if you had a top 6 pick, but you just had no idea how the bottom 6 was going to play out. So anyway, let's move on to the last one before we start talking about tomorrow's games and waivers and things like that. Celtics beat the Kings. Sorry, Herbie. They beat them without Tatum as well, 144-119. So bit of Atlanta Hawks defense on show here for the Sacramento Kings. What's happened here? I won't ask you, Herbie, just yet, but Mick, what are your thoughts on this one without a biased opinion?
Porzingis, a force inside. Welcome back. 6 blocks, 24 points, and 9 boards also. Derek White just keeps doing Derek White things. He may just keep his top 30 value for the season the way he's going, with 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks. But your boy Herbie, Big Sab, the sausage, I love him, mate. I've picked him up in that league. 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists in 26 minutes. He's really starting to roll now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. The other boy that you didn't mention was D Fox, the birthday boy. So it was his birthday today.
Waiting for you to bring him up. Yeah.
And yeah, man, he started like so good. Like, I think he had like 26. I think he literally had 26 points at the half, and then he finished with 29. So
yeah, he had,
that
22
thing that
in the first quarter, I think it was. Yeah.
When you were talking about like Scotty Barnes, how they like, he went missing for 2 quarters or whatever. Like, it was the same with Fox today. He kind of went missing for a few quarters, and like he was hitting the 3-ball like crazy. So that was really, really nice to see. And the Kings were rolling, but it wasn't meant to be. So, man, like, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like, the Celtics just look really nice. I actually thought we'd struggle a little bit today because they got Drew Holiday, who can obviously match up pretty well with Fox, but like Fox was just getting a mismatch every time when they were, when they were switching on picks and stuff. So, but in all honesty, man, like they didn't even need Tatum because White really, really picks it up. And 10 of 13 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3, 28 points, 28 points from Jaylen Brown as well. Like I was really high on Jaylen Brown as well going into the season. I think he's one that like if he ever leaves from Boston, you got it. He's gonna skyrocket in terms of his value. Because I don't know how you boys think, but like when I watch them play, they never pass to each other. Like they hardly ever pass to each other. Like it's just one. It's like Brown gets the ball, he does like 4 or 5 dribbles, does some like weird shot, and then Tatum just gets the ball. They never ever pass to each other, and it just makes me think they hate each other. There's just this power struggle. Yeah. So man, they did well. Like Derek White really, really lifts when they need him. And they've just got a really nice team. But like Kings just, couldn't guard anything today. They just look tired.
They're probably one lockdown defender away from being a serious contender.
Well, I thought Keegan Murray was going to be that dude who just like really, really just stepped up. Obviously, he had that 47 piece.
Yeah, not yet.
But yeah, he's still a little bit inconsistent. And I've always said it, and I said it to you boys, like they just need, like I wouldn't mind them going for Levine. I think they just need someone who can just get a bucket and who's just like kind of like that middling star who can be next to Fox. Like Murray isn't that dude. He's just like the dude that you get him to shoot the ball and just shoot slide out. Like he's not the dude that you give him the ball and he just puts it on the floor and gets buckets. That's what they need, I think. So Derek White, coming over to Sacktown.
I need to make a formal apology to Derek White because I said that he was definitely a sell high and there's no way you can keep this up. And I said it on the pod, I'm like, there's no way this guy continues to get like 2-3 stocks a game. And he just kept going. Game after game, this guy just keeps doing the same thing, 17 to 25 points a game and, a few assists here and there when he needs to handle the ball when Drew Holiday's off the court. Like, he's been awesome. He's been very good. I'll tell you what the Kings need. They need Kevin Huerter from 22-23 to turn up this season because he has done sweet fuck all for you guys this year. He has done nothing. 7 points, 1 rebound, 3 from 5 shots all game.
Yeah, I agree. I would love, like, I don't think we should keep him. If we can move him on, we should. I always think about it like this. I'm always like, if I watch a game and the dude's shooting a 3 and I'm like, that's going to go in, that dude's good. Yeah. Like, I always know who's going to like brick it. Right. And Kevin Huerter, like, for the most part, just bricks everything. Right. So Keegan Murray, Donovan Mitchell, man, whenever he shoots, like, he does like a little step back, weird 3, like it's a bucket. Brunson's the same, like, but Huerter. So I say I've got more faith in who's it? Vesnikov, our boy Vesnikov,
Vesnikov.
Let's play those two at the shooting guard, Vesnikov and Trey Lyles.
Yeah, you could do worse. You could do much worse. That wraps up the rewind, guys. We've done a pretty big rewind for this episode just because we love chatting hoops. So, but of course, the rewind is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. So if you guys are obviously in Australia, you're watching from Australia, first of all, thank you. Secondly, if you're wondering what the best bank is or you're wondering maybe how to get ahead on your home loan or get into the residential home loan space, you can hit up Ryan from Astute Newstead. All you need to do is send him an email, ryanh@eganwealth.com, or contact him on Instagram at ryanastute Let him know the Insight Boys sent you. He'll look after you with a no-obligation free consult to have a chat about your situation and sort you out with a good rate for your home loan. So contact Ryan from Astute Newstead. Now, let's have a chat about tomorrow's games. We've got a few good matchups coming up, and a couple of stinkers. So we can move through those pretty quickly. And I think maybe let's just kind of wipe the stinkers off the board real quick. We've got Utah versus Detroit as the first game of the week. I don't really know whether there's anything good to talk about. Detroit, actually, no, there is something good to talk about. Detroit, 24 losses in a row, and they're on track to beat the record that was set by the Philadelphia 76ers in 2014, 15, 16 across that span at 28. So they've got 5 more losses to set the record for the most consecutive losses in NBA history. So I'll be going for Utah just because I love a record. But, I mean, surely they knock off Detroit. They've been fucking awful.
You mean Utah beating Detroit? Yeah. Detroit players don't even know how to tie their own fucking shoelaces at the moment, let alone play basketball. So Utah plus 11 for me in this one.
Yeah, fair
I'm
call.
going to go out on a limb. I think Detroit's going to smash the Jazz.
I know you fucking do that.
25 points plus. Honestly, just bookmark it here. 50 minutes on the dot. Detroit's going to smash the fucking Jazz tomorrow.
Wow.
Could even be 40. Could even be 40 plus. Kate
Oh.
Cunningham going for 60.
I mean, Cade has been like the shining light in a very dim dungeon, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So, if you held on to Cade, you're probably getting the reward right now. But are there any streamable options within this game? Like Keontae George at the moment, I don't see he's been named.
No,
so
he's
it looks like THT might be on the double.
Yep. And from a center position, like you don't know who's playing for Detroit. Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, the list goes on. And especially against the bigs of Utah, Olynyk, Kessler, Collins, it's not a good matchup for the bigs of Detroit. So personally, I wouldn't be touching this game.
Yeah, I reckon Larry Markkinen is going to go off in a big loss, though.
In a big loss. Love
He's
it.
going to go off
Love
in a big loss. Yeah.
For your mate Fontecchio is starting for Utah at the moment. So we'll see how that plays out. But let's move on. The Pelicans played the Cavs. Now we've got Donovan Mitchell. He's still game time decision. The Pelicans, in true Pelicans fashion, have got Herb Jones, Zion, and Valanciunas all game time decision at the moment. I mean, they'll probably all play. It's just the way the Pelicans name their lineups. How do we see this one playing out? Is there any streamable options in this one?
Oh, for me, Zion. Cleveland have no one to guard Zion in this one. He could have a really big game in this. They've got Jared Allen, and who else that's a big body?
Let me tell you
Kevin
this.
Love.
If Dean Wade starts at power forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Zion is scoring 40 plus.
Zion
and you
will
can take
eat
that
him.
to the bank.
Yep.
Oh, and he will
eat
eat him. Like in real life, he'll do that. But he'll also eat him on the court. I agree. Thoughts, Abby?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird game. Obviously, we just got to see if Donovan Mitchell plays. That'll play a big part. But yeah, they're both kind of riddled with like a bit of an illness, both teams. So I think just kind of look for those, those streamable options like a Hawkins or a or
Trey Murphy.
Yeah, Troy Murphy or Strusey. Like, yeah, Strusey's getting a lot of shots, at the moment, so it's good. I got him and Herb Jones with my last two picks, and that turned out really well. So yeah, I think just have a look tomorrow morning with the injury updates and just see who's playing, and then obviously it could be a little bit like today where you got Karis LeVert and Sam Morrell, which I really, really apologize to Sam Morrell because you share the same last name as this absolute asshole that we know, my boy Matthew. So I apologize, Sam, from Australia, that you've had to go through that. So we move on.
We can move to the Spurs and Chicago in the next one. Sorry, I've skipped the notes, but Spurs and Chicago, Wemby's back. So that should play a pretty big part for the Spurs. Keldon Johnson also probable at this stage. So it looks like the Spurs are going to be fully healthy for a team that's tanking. Very impressive to be fully healthy at this time of the season. Chicago, though, they're missing Levine still. Torrey Craig obviously not lining up in this one, but otherwise they're pretty healthy. So how do we see this one playing up? Anybody to look at?
If Wemby plays, you've got to drop Zach Collins. Zach Collins is now only relevant if Wemby's out. So he's a look to later in the season if they decide to rest Wemby for the year. But when we're talking Chicago have been playing a lot better since they've sat Levine. So I don't think Levine plays again until he finds another team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't actually agree with that. So I think Zach Collins, I think you can still stream him if Wemby plays. Like, Wemby's too inconsistent. He's got a big name. He gives big numbers sometimes, but Zach Collins is really invested by the Spurs, which is really, really strange. So they're kind of giving him, a bit of free reign.
Since Wemby started at center, Collins has had 4 rebound 2-point games, 5 rebound 2-point games, a 6 rebound 10-point game, a 2 rebound 10-point game, he's dropped off a cliff since Wemby's been starting at the 5.
Well, that's not true because the way I see it with my eyes are better than the stats that you produce. So, yeah, everybody, hold on. Don't drop this.
Zach Collins.
Just hold it. Hold him.
I dropped Zach Collins this morning, so I'm glad that's been confirmed. Orlando, Milwaukee in the next one. Orlando on the back-to-back in this one here. So we're assuming that Milwaukee probably get the dub on this one. Giannis is game time at the moment. He's the only one missing essentially from Milwaukee, and it looks like Orlando are pretty healthy without Fultz, obviously. So how does this one play out?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, Bucks will smash him. Wendell Carter Jr. potentially to sit, so Goga may start. So if you're holding Goga, maybe worth just seeing whether Wendell Carter Jr. does sit this back-to-back out, given that he hasn't played for 6 weeks, and just get one more game out of him.
I'd say you're right.
Yeah.
Another one who's like really picked it up lately, who's kind of like figuring it out, I think, in the Bucks system is Dame. Dame started to play really, really nice the last couple of games.
You're right.
So, yeah, I think he's one. If you held him, he's obviously figuring it out. But yeah, good streamable option in terms of just like him just really starting to kill it lately.
For sure. We've got the Clippers and the OKC Thunder coming up. I reckon this is going to be game of the day tomorrow. This is going to be an absolute banger. Clippers on the back-to-back. No injuries for OKC. They're completely healthy at the moment. And to be fair, the Clippers are pretty healthy minus Miles Plumlee. So this could be an awesome matchup. Are there any relevant streaming options from this game?
I don't think so. Norman Powell, maybe, if he's streaming threes. He's been shooting the ball really well at the moment. But when we're talking OKC, they've got Chet at the 5, Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams. Josh Giddey's picked it up of late. SGA, Lou Dort, maybe, but those 4 at OKC, they're the predominant players there. Isaiah Joe, maybe, if you want to stream threes as well.
Yeah, I reckon it's the same. Norman Powell is one that's pretty nice off the bench, and especially if that rotation is pretty short, they're obviously going to give more minutes to the boys coming off it. So him and Russ, man, I feel like Russ is just a fucking roller coaster. Like, it's just like you never know what you're going to get. Like, it's really sad, man. I don't know how you boys feel, but when another gambling pun here, gambling mentioned, man, we need to get more gambling sponsors, because I mention it a lot. So you guys find it sad, man. Like, I find it really sad when I look at 10 points, like 10 points, Russell Westbrook, $1.90. Like, is anybody else think like, holy shit, man, this guy has regressed like so much? It's pretty sad. So, but he's one
to take one for the team, hasn't he, for Harden?
Yeah, he's
pretty
just
much
he's just one that, like every couple of games he'll probably do something nice, probably give a bit of a nice stat sheet, but he's a bit of value too, because he thinks he's that guy. So always nice to have someone like that when, especially in our 20-man leagues, when you get, fuck all from them. So from waivers. So yeah, that's the only 2. How about you, Brains? What do you think? Anybody worthy?
Look, honestly, no, not really. It's hard to say because we just don't know. Like, these starting lineups are so cemented. So like, these starters are playing 35 minutes a game. So like, most of your bench players in these games are getting next to nothing. So I think it's going to be pretty hard to find any value from both of these teams. So we're happy to move on. We've got 3 more games to cover. We've got Indiana versus Memphis. Ja Morant back. Can he back up the game that he led off with? 30 odd points. I think it was 6 rebounds, 8 assists or something like that. Like, he had a really good start after missing a fair chunk of the season. Mick, what are your thoughts?
Long story short, yes, given that they're playing against one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA, who always give up a shit ton of points, he will score well and will get a lot of assists in this game. Yes. When we're talking about streaming options, Santi Aldama maybe for Memphis. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. actually benefits from having Ja there instead of having to create his own shot when he wasn't there. But for Indiana, we spoke about it before, Naismith, Jalen Smith, TJ McConnell. It's basically a wait and see. Like, any one of them could pop off at any given time.
Yeah, I'm huge on Jalen Smith. I reckon he's got a really nice game, and I reckon if he moved, he's someone that could be a really nice, like, kind of starter at another team. So plays really, really well, and he's a really good shooter as well from the three. So, yeah, Memphis is a weird. Like, this game will actually be really interesting. So I'll try to watch this when I'm at the office, quote unquote, working. So yeah, I actually pretty looking forward to this game, to be honest. Should be a good one. What do you think,
Yeah,
Brains?
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be a cracker. That could kind of rival that the Clippers OKC game for the game of the day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Bruce Brown falling off a bit of a. Sorry, I'm talking about Indiana. Where am I? I lost my spot.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Bruce Brown's fallen off a cliff. Like I think we were relatively high on Bruce Brown, weren't we, at the start of the season?
Our lead analyst, NBA G Wiz, was, but I think this proves that you're a product of your environment, and Bruce Brown was good in an environment when he could feed off Jokic and play that lead role in the second unit. But given that he's in the starters, a younger group, there's no real superstar outside of Hallie to take any heat off him, hence why his numbers have dropped.
Yeah.
Well, the only other superstar they got is, like, they've got, the LeBron AD combo. So they got Hallie, and then they've obviously got TJ McConnell. So those two boys are just killing it. So
Absolutely.
man, TJ, honestly, TJ, if you ever move teams, like, you will do so well. You're a really nice basketball player. You don't deserve what you're going through in Indiana. You got to go to a better spot, man. And then we can all stream.
For sure.
Shout out to TJ McConnell.
Nah, he'd be a draftable player. We don't need to stream him. Just hold him for the year if he moves.
Man, I would love to see TJ in the NBL. Like, put that in the bookmark. Like, surely let's start a petition. Get him Southeast Melbourne.
He did some good things over here in Australia for sure.
He would.
Two more games, guys, very quickly. Lakers, Minnesota. Should be another pretty good matchup, I think. Minnesota on the back-to-back in this one. We've got Cam Reddish potentially starting again for the Lakers. Does he become a stream option now? I mean, Torian Prince is out of the conversation, but what are our thoughts on Cam Reddish? Does he become relevant in deeper leagues?
Like him.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Yeah, well, that was good. Good chat.
Good. Yeah, so we haven't helped anybody here. That's good.
So, no. I don't know, man. Like, obviously, he's just been told by somebody he's got to play, like, defense this year, and he's going to get paid or something, but a little bit too inconsistent for me. He's on a pretty low, like, contract, isn't he? So, yeah,
2 years, 7 million.
It's a bit of a whatever player for me, to be honest. There's a lot of those, like, athletic type of 3-and-Ds who are, like, kind of on the fringe of just being cut from the NBA. So he's kind of.
I don't even think you're getting him for threes, Herbie. I don't think you're getting him for threes. I think you're streaming him for steals.
Okay, well, just these.
Yeah.
Yep. And last one. Do we even bother talking about it?
No, not really.
We've got Washington and Portland, which is, I mean, nearly as good as the Utah-Detroit matchup here. Shaden Sharp misses this one with the little kind of adductor injury I think he's picked up in the last game, so he didn't finish that last one. But both teams are stinking it up at the moment. I mean, Denny Avdia maybe could be a pickup, Bilal Coulibaly potentially, because they're on the back-to-back, aren't they, Thursday, Friday, Mick?
Yeah, they are. Nice shout by you, mate. That's good. Denny Avdia going through a cold patch at the moment, but still, I think he's averaging 5, 5, and 12 at the moment. He's doing a really good job. Tyus Jones, though, Herbie, still only rostered in 80% of leagues. So 20% of the leagues out there don't have him in there. If you're in one of those leagues, you picking him up?
Yeah, I am, but I'm not that excited about it, to be honest.
Why not?
Like, Tyus Jones is all right. He's an all right player. But, like, weirdly enough, man, I've watched a little bit of the Washington Wizards this year. I don't know why I've done it. I've watched a couple of games of them, and they just don't pass the ball. And Tyus Jones is like a system player. So he's a system player. So you get like, he deserves a lot better. Obviously, he could be in much better positions where he could do a lot better. Like, but when you look at like, them ball stoppers, who I call them, like you got Jordan Poole, you got like Kuzma. And like, whenever they get the ball, it's just going up. So Tyus Jones, he kind of fits in a little bit weird, but he has been doing a little bit better as of late. He's been getting, points, rebounds, and assists. So he's kind of like covered like a little bit of everything, which has been nice. But for me, the worry is like whenever you actually watch them play, like they're so like the ball is so dominant. It's ISO ball dominant with both those players, Kuz and Poole. That like for me, it's just a bit of a watch. But I'm not too excited about it. How about you?
Right.
It sounds like you're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited by him. Triple-double 3 games ago, 2 games ago, 21 points and 6 steals. I think he's starting to work out the way that he wants to play within the Washington system. So if he's on your waiver wire, I would recommend picking him up. But for Portland, I'm not much of a betting man, but I will have a double on Anthony Simmons in this game. I think he's going to go large.
Is that Ben's brother?
It could not be because this guy can actually shoot.
Yeah, well played in the genetics, you reckon?
It's definitely not in Ben Simmons' genetics, but we wish him luck. We saw something today. He's still 3 or 4 weeks away from coming back. So hopefully early in the new year, we can see him back on the court.
Are we wishing him luck? I'm not wishing him luck.
Oh, he's Aussie. We love all Aussies, mate. Come on.
No,
get on
not
board.
Me, mate. Not me. Sorry.
Not you? Okay.
You're out there, Ben Simmons. Go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit.
All right. Speaking on that, well, let's move on to the waiver wire pickups for this week.
Target acquired.
Waiver wire pickups are brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, of course, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. And you can go to thestandardsqueeze.com and you can use the code INSIGHT15 to get yourself 15% off everything in store, from the 4-in-1s that we've got that we drink our beers out of, from the combo packs in the background that give you the perfect pour. You can go on there and you can get 15% off. As you can see on screen, if you're watching us on YouTube, Herbie's got his beer nice and cold and his little 4-in-1. Boys, bit of relevance here with Washington. We spoke about them initially, so we probably can move past them. They're the only team on the back-to-back, and they stink. So I guess Thursday, Friday, both low volume days with only 8 and 6 games across those 2 days. And then we've got a high volume day on Saturday. But we do have some teams on the back-to-back Friday and Saturday that might be a little bit more relevant. Mick, what are your thoughts? Are there any options here with these teams?
Yeah, so the 8 teams we've got on a back-to-back Friday being a low-volume day, as you just stated. So we've got Atlanta, Brooklyn, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Sacramento, and Toronto. If we're looking at maybe one player from each of those teams, Herbie, we'll start with Toronto. If you're going to stream one player in, Precious Achiuwa maybe, who's not rostered normally.
What's Dennis Schroeder doing? Is he around?
He's doing fuck all. 7 and 7 today. Pretty average showing from him. But he's rostered. I think he's still rostered in over 80% of leagues.
Yeah, I have a bit of faith in my boy Dennis the Menace. So I'll go Dennis Schroeder. Bit of left field target.
Brano, who would you pick from Toronto if you had to stream one?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, I don't think I would. Honestly, yeah, if Dennis Schroeder's there, sure. If you need assists, that's great. But, otherwise, like we've known from previous seasons, Toronto play their starters big minutes. I know Nick Nurse isn't there anymore, but it seems like the theme's continuing. You've got, Barnes, Siakam, Poeltl, Schroeder, Anunoby, all racking up big 30-plus minutes per game. You mentioned Precious Achiuwa. Chris Boucher isn't playing many minutes. Maybe the only other guy, if you need steals, is Gary Trent Jr. So maybe have a look at your lineups there. I know he's not doing a ton this year in terms of efficiency, but if that's a bit of a tank for you and you need some stocks at some point to win your league at the back end of the week, maybe Gary Trent Jr. is a bit of a stream. So that's probably the guy I'd go with, maybe.
And then we've got Sacramento, Houston. Well, you're a Sacramento man, Herbie. Who we streaming in? Who are you saying is the pick of outside of Sabonis, Murray, Fox, these sorts of players?
I go a bit left field. I go Trey Lyles. So he's been pretty nice as of late. So got a really, really nice shot. And one thing that Fox has been doing a lot more this season is just like scoring, right? So I think his points per game, like average, has gone up like 8 or 9 points from last year. So he's getting buckets a lot more. And what it's doing is it's just like opening up our shooters. And it's just one that I don't think he's rostered in many leagues and stuff. So he's just one to kind of watch that he does get good minutes, and him with Vaznikov, whatever his name is. those
The
two
Zinkov.
kind of fit in well because they're just out there on the perimeter shooting threes essentially. So if you need
Does-
threes, go ahead.
Does it worry you? I've just done some quick maths here. All the Kings back-to-backs this year, they've been blown out by an average losing margin of 25 points. Does that concern you?
Nah, you know why, man? Because I don't do stats. I just do the eye test, and the eye test looks good. So,
Okay.
yeah. Apart from
Okay.
today was an anomaly. So, yeah, might the fucker be.
Quick question for the Sacktown genius here. Chris Duarte, what the fuck happened to him? What, you guys just kind of stashed him in the dungeon.
I don't like him. I just don't like Duarte. Like, he just hasn't got a nice game. He's not hitting his shot, which is the only thing you need to fucking do to get like meaningful minutes in this roster is just hit the three, right? Like, because there's so much pressure. Like, Sabonis draws so much attention. So does Foxy. Malik Monk even is like a nice playmaker, breaks down defenses. Like, at the end of the day, man, we could upgrade on like Harry B, Kevin Herter. Like, you just need someone, and I think that's who we got recently, who might be worth mentioning, is Toscano Anderson. So I think that they're just kind of doing fillers just to see if anybody can kind of get hot and, kind of just be that little bit of a value target. So yeah,
I've heard you're pretty good in the post, Herbie. Maybe
I'm pretty good, man. I won a 3-on-3 tournament not too long ago, so I unfortunately missed out on MVP. I was robbed, but it is what it is, man. We still lighted the beam, and you still got the dub. So actually, the team name was the Beam Team. So
there you go.
What a team, man! What a team! Shout out to the boys.
Love that.
Shout out to the Beam Team.
Mick, anybody else on this Friday, Saturday back-to-back? Anybody else that you're targeting or looking at?
Yeah, Jackson Davis from Golden State. He's really come on lately, and it looks as though he's leapfrogged Kevon Looney, Jordan or Jonathan Kuminga, Dario Saric when we're talking about meaningful minutes inside for Golden State. So if he's there and he's sitting on your waiver wire, I'd grab him. He looks good.
He does. Getting more minutes. Looney sat the bench more. It just depends what they're going to do moving forward. I mean, we know that they trust Looney, just purely based on what he's been able to do for them in the past. In their lineup, he's won a chip with them at center. So it'll be very interesting to see whether they keep with this or whether they end up reverting back to knowing what they trust. So yeah, definitely a short-term stream for sure. Herbie?
Nothing else for me, really. Like, I don't see any really streamable options with these, 8 teams or so. Maybe Sack with Lyles. I'm interested to hear if you got anybody from the Hawks as a Hawks man. Brooklyn, Dallas, you could potentially look at Hardy if he's not been taken in your league because he's doing some nice things off the bench. But yeah, there's nothing too exciting, to be honest. What are your thoughts on the Hawks? Got any?
Look, I mean, most of them are relatively well rostered. I mean, Bogey now is pretty well rostered. I managed to grab him off waivers, I think, pretty early in the season, so that's paid off pretty well. Jalen Johnson, like I said at the start, if he's there, to stash him now because he's not far off. But aside from that, I'm not picking up anybody below. You got guys like Bay and Hunter that are around that 140 mark that you'd probably get at the back end of a 12-team league in fantasy. So those are the only guys I'd roster. I'm not rostering guys like Garrison Matthews unless I need to stream threes on a final game or something like that to win a league or win a matchup. Patty Mills isn't getting enough minutes. Wesley Matthews isn't getting enough minutes. They're pretty invested in their main 9 guys. So I'd say, yeah, you wouldn't want to rip your team up to try and get one of these fringe guys in. It's not worth doing. Mm-hmm. But gents, I think that does us. We've had a pretty good chat about some fantasy hoops. We've had a great chat about Sacramento for some reason. I don't know why we've had a chat about Sacramento, but we've managed to get through a fair bit tonight. But of course, guys, if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. Please hit like. We would appreciate the support. We've got plenty of content coming down the way. Matty G's away on holidays, but I'm sure that the Mattrix is going to tap in the next few days to come to you, and we'll be back as well. Maybe they'll get the G League back in, boys. And we'll be able to have another run. Maybe we'll have a run with like someone like Portland or Washington.
Man, I reckon we do it after a Houston Rockets game. 1 o'clock on Christmas Day or something stupid. Just get blind and just watch a Rockets game and just come in here hot with Jason Tate takes or whatever.
My Dylan Brooks jersey on.
And we'll just look at each other like this for 90 minutes.
That'll be good fun. Guys, that'll do us. Thanks for listening. Hopefully got your waivers sorted for the next day. Otherwise, we'll see you. When's the next show? It'll be Heat Check for the weekend, won't it? Previewing the weekend show. So I'm sure that G and Skitty will be back in the next 24 hours. So keep an eye out for that. Until then, you've been listening to another Insight NBA show. We will catch you next time. See ya.
See ya.